Hello and welcome to the first Wildwoods project video. Starting with this project, this video is going to be an outline and overview of the project with my example. We'll look through that later, but first let's run through what equipment you'll need for this project. Starting with a pencil and a rubber for your guidelines to write your annotation with. To write your annotation you need a pen or pack of pens. I've just used fine liners, I think they work really well, and I also use the pack as a straight edge for when I need to draw out my guidelines. Scissors to cut out your work from the activity book, and a glue stick to stick your images down. Your activity book has all the images and information you'll need to complete this project. You'll notice a task sheet with the green and pink, and on the back that has all your instructions. On the back is my example and a bit of information as to how and why I've done that as an outcome. So let's read through my sketchbook now, quickly run through exactly what we are looking at today. So starting with your first front cover, you need your name and the title of the project. Wildwoods project should be on your book for you. I've left my first page blank. I can get feedback here. Okay, just leave it blank. It's up to you. You could have your mind map on the front, but I think a mind map works well on your first double page. Okay, so I've grouped my images together here in terms of like texture, colour, viewpoint, and looking through. Okay, you can see kind of looking through the woodland here to a space beyond in the distance. You'll notice my title, Wildwoods, for the project has been kind of altered slightly. The text I've used, the lettering I found off the internet, and kind of copied the style that they're kind of meant to look like trees, okay, with the roots and branches sticking out. Looks quite cool. I thought I'd use that. You'll notice my background's nice and textured as well, not plain. I've washed over some brown watercolour onto that background to give a different effect with a few specks of green in there as well. So let's move on. Here you'll notice the first artist page. Now you'll notice on this I've not overlapped any images here, whereas on my first page I've got nice overlapping for visual impact. I prefer to keep my artist pages nice and separate with the images, not overlapping any images on my artist pages. That's totally up to you though. Okay, we'll have here a textured background as well. This time I've used a tea bag, tea staining to create this golden brown. I think I prefer this brown to this brown, which is a bit duller. Okay, the golden brown works better for me. And we have artist information, nice clear title, but my annotation is clear as well, giving my opinion to the work. That's so important. You must always give your own opinion in your sketchbook. First response, using the task sheet, we've got a nice photo collage here with, again, my opinion down the side. The second response, a little bit different. I'm creating my own idea, bringing a more staggered approach instead of nice and lined up. They're all staggered, creating a different effect. I quite like that. Second one, introducing squares into my collage. Okay, giving my opinion down the side. You'll notice my backgrounds are plain here. I want my work to stand out. I don't want the background taking over anything, so with my work on the page I always leave the background blank. And my fourth response here, I think my personal favourite is this one from this outcome. I think the colours pop really well. The kind of reddy brown with the sky blue works really well there. Next artist, Gilles Martin. We have, again, no overlapping with the images, a nice plain background, but I've also brought a bit of creativity to my background here with some of the diamond shapes from the front cover of my booklet. I thought let's not go to waste with that, so I used some of those images, added in some fine liner drawings to kind of copy this style of work here. Copy it onto there, thought that worked well. Again, my outcome for Gilles Martin is a kind of photo collage looking at isometrics. It's in your workbook. You use those images for this one. You need the images with the isometric grid on the back. My favourite for this is this piece down here, where I've kind of created a three-dimensional shape just using flat images onto a nice matte pink background. I think that looks fantastic. The contrast of colours works really well between the sky blue and matte pink. Again, that's your call, your creativity here, bring it. Again, I've left this page blank because I've actually ran out of images, but I could maybe print some more, or if I run out of time, just simply glue these pieces of paper together so that my book reads nice and fluidly. Next art is Reynald Druhan. Again, keeping the images nice and equally spaced apart, no overlapping. You'll notice here in this image, I've cut along the horizon. Most of his images, I noticed there was a horizon line halfway. So I cut along that and slid the image to the side slightly to give this new shape down here. Thought that looked quite interesting. We have here my thoughts, my opinions, as well as the artist information, again with a nice clear title at the top. Here we have my response. Looking at these images, you'll notice your images for this task are different, okay? The quality of these images was quite poor for my example, so I slipped in some different images for you guys to work with. Okay, hopefully yours will look better than mine. Starting with the diamond shape here at the top, always making sure my halfway line is being used. Follow the instructions for this task. Again with my annotation down the side. This example, I flipped the shape to create a line of symmetry in my work as well as a horizon line. Thought that worked really well. Very powerful impact on that. Next one, my personal favourite, is the circular. Okay, so your template isn't in the sketchbook for this, but most households you can find a circular item at home. That could be a coffee cup, a small pan, or a jar. Use a jar, a circle to work around, and then create a larger circle from that. Easy peasy, but this time I've kind of twisted my image around on each layer to create this kind of spiral warped effect. I think that looks fantastic. And lastly we have the hexagon outcome, where I cut out hexagon, flipped, cut out him, flipped, rotated it around that way to create this distorted landscape. First development idea without an artist is a photo weaving technique. Okay, the instructions are in your work booklet. Here I did my standard weave following the guidelines on the back of my images. Okay, it kind of creates this like 2 centimetre square for each weave. It looks great, but for my next one I doubled up, so I kind of cut another line between the lines on the back of my image sheet. Okay, to create this like super weave that's a lot smaller, tighter. I think this works better. Okay, I like the pops of gold against the green on these images. Again, not the best quality images unfortunately, but we can work with them. And my next technique was the folded photographs technique. Starting with a random fold first with my image, just folding over wherever, whenever. Okay, using mountain folds and valley folds next to each other or close to each other to create this effect. My next one was a symmetrical folding. I actually prefer this. A little bit like making a paper aeroplane. You fold the paper in half, create a fold, okay, and keep folding outwards as if you're making a paper aeroplane. Simple as that. It creates quite a nice effect. This would work really well if your image started off symmetrical. That would look fantastic, I think. Room for experimentation. And lastly was the origami folding task. Okay, I stuck mine in just one-sided. Okay, just glue down one side, stick it in, and that means you can kind of pull out your work. It can fold flat, but also be pulled out for the viewer to see. These great origami folds. I've got my annotation down the side, giving my opinion to the work, and this is the last one. Here it's kind of that link on the YouTube in your activity book, link to YouTube showing you how to create this kind of curved effect. These would look fantastic photographed in a studio with a nice side lighting, something you could do at home or bring back into school when we come back to school. So that's it. That's your first video. Next video will be how to create textured backgrounds for your first mind map page. I'd like to see you there. Good luck. Bye bye.